Why you've never eaten a lion, and your body knew before you did. Stop! Look at the meat on your grill. That's beef. Not lion, not tiger. And here's the funny part. You never once asked yourself why? Like someone thousands of years ago walked through your menu and quietly crossed out half the predators on the planet and you just went along with it. No explanation given. Today you find out who did that. Spoiler, it wasn't a chef. It was evolution, and it was right. Stick around till the end. The last part isn't about predators at all. It's about you. Could you actually eat a lion? Technically, yes. Lion meat isn't poison, not a toadstool. One bite won't drop you dead. People have eaten lions, some hunters have eaten wolf. There are records of bear, alligator, shark on the menu. The meat exists, the option is there, but no culture on Earth ever built a cuisine around predators. No Michelin restaurant serves tiger steak, and it's not about the price tag. Now, the reason is one of the most elegant rules in nature, the 10% rule, or why you're eating leftovers of leftovers. Listen closely. Every time energy moves up the food chain, 90% of it just vanishes. Grass captures sunlight, a deer eats the grass, and keeps only 10% of that energy. The rest burns off just running and breathing. A lion eats the deer. Same story, the lion keeps only 10% of the deer's energy, which means at the top of the food chain, you're literally chewing leftovers of leftovers. Here's a number for you. A lion needs 15 to 20 kilograms of meat a day just to not die. Picture that as the worst value for money restaurant in the universe. You pay with your life, you get scraps. Now you're a prehistoric human, hungry. Simple choice, risk your life for 15 kilograms of low-calorie lion meat. Or go after the deer. Less danger, way more energy per unit of effort. The math is obvious, and you go for the prey, not the predator. Great, level 1 nalakate size cleared. But that was just the entry fee. Next comes the bill nature actually hands you. Biomagnification, or the invisible tab that builds for decades. Toxins enter the chain at the bottom. Heavy metals in the soil, pollutants in the water, or absorbed by plants and tiny organisms. A small fish eats thousands of those organisms. The toxin dose is tiny, tolerable. A bigger fish eats thousands of small fish. The dose concentrates. A predator fish eats thousands of medium fish. The concentration climbs again. By the top of the chain, the toxin level isn't a little higher. It can be millions of times higher than at the bottom. Picture a snowball of toxins rolling up the food chain, getting heavier at every level. This isn't theory, it's measured. In 1966, a scientist named Charles Worcester was studying eagles dying off around the Great Lakes. Nobody was poisoning the eagles directly, they were just eating fish. And that fish had absorbed DDT through the whole chain beneath it. By the time the toxin reached the eagle, the eggshells were cracking before they could hatch. The eagles weren't dying from what they ate, they were dying from what their food had eaten before them. All right, level 2, unlocked. You've already brushed up against this yourself. You've been told to go easy on tuna. Not because tuna itself is dangerous, but because it's a large predatory fish. It sits high enough on the chain that its mercury levels are actually measurable. That's your personal, everyday supermarket aisle example of biomagnification. You've been living by this rule the whole time. You just didn't know its name. Now picture an animal sitting even higher. A bear, a wolf, an orca. The load inside them isn't just higher, it's off the charts. And that's before we even get to the parasites. Congratulations, you just unlocked the next level. Predators eat raw flesh. A lot. Their muscle tissue and gut are basically a 5-star hotel for parasites that evolved specifically for that lifestyle over millions of years. The most famous tenet is trichinella. It lives in the muscle tissue of carnivores, eat infected meat without cooking it properly, and the larvae hatch in your intestine, then migrate into your muscles. Your body swells, your fever spikes, the pain is severe. Historically, cases like this were often fatal. Bear meat is one of the most well-documented sources of trichinella on record, and bear is the one large predator humans have actually eaten with any regularity. But every culture that ate bear knew the rule, cook it all the way through, not for flavor, for survival. It's like a microwave manual that says do not run empty, except the price of getting it wrong isn't a spark, it's larvae in your biceps. Now picture a true apex predator. An animal that spent decades accumulating parasites, toxins, and the biological baggage of everything it has ever eaten. Your body was not built for that, it never was. But the strangest part goes deeper. And it's been in you the whole time. There's a force older than chemistry. It moved into you before you even knew the word toxin. Researchers studying food psychology found something strange. Humans have an instinctive aversion to the idea of eating carnivores. Not learned, not cultural. It shows up in kids nobody taught it to. It shows up in cultures that never had contact with each other. Paul Rosen, a psychologist at the University of Pennsylvania, spent decades studying disgust. He found that people categorize carnivore meat as repulsive at an almost pre-rational level. The explanation is evolution. Ancestors who felt nothing about the risk sometimes died from toxins, from parasites, from the chemical bomb packed inside an apex predator. Ancestors who felt something twist in their gut at the idea, with no explanation why, survived and passed that feeling on to you. Right now, if I ask you to picture a juicy wolf steak, something in you reacts before your brain even finishes the thought. That's not culture. That's millions of years of your ancestors surviving exactly what killed the others. Your disgust is your ancestors talking to you right now. But what if it's not that simple? Here's the twist. Humans do eat some predators, just carefully predatory fish, alligator, bear, shark in some cultures, squid, and octopus, which, by the way, are ferocious hunters in their own right. What do they have in common? They sit either low enough on the chain or get eaten rarely enough that the load stays tolerable. The rule isn't never eat a predator. The rule is the higher up the chain, the more dangerous the buildup. And the animals at the very top, like lions, wolves, orcas, tigers, have spent an entire lifetime concentrating everything that passed through the whole world beneath them. These aren't just animals, they're living archives of everything the food chain has ever touched. Like a hard drive that spent 30 years downloading every virus on the internet and never once been wiped. Eating them means downloading all of it at once. So, and now, the part that changes how you look at your next meal. Every animal you've ever eaten, chicken, beef, fish, sat low enough on the chain. Low enough that the chemical load was tolerable, low enough that the parasite risk stayed manageable, low enough that your ancient disgust reflex never even fired. What you eat every single day is the product of millions of years of selection. You didn't choose it at random. Your entire food tradition was shaped by survival logic older than language itself. The cow on your plate isn't just food, it's the result of a biological calculation your ancestors ran for generations without ever writing a single word of it down, and the animals at the top of the chain, the ones you wouldn't even consider eating, they're there because that's exactly where the danger lives. At every level, in every form, predators aren't just dangerous to hunt, they're dangerous to eat. The whole system was built to keep you away from them, and without a single chemistry textbook, without a microscope, without any concept of what a toxin or a parasite even was, your ancestors already knew. They passed the knowledge down the only way evolution knows how. They made it feel disgusting, and you're sitting here today, alive, because it worked.